Steve, where are you right now?
Where am I?
Mm-hmm.
I'm right here. Can you see? I can't get my camera to flip around.
What state is that?
Florida.
Oh.
We're way up on by the Alabama border, actually.
Okay.
Way Pensacola, on the west side of Pensacola.
So did you get hit? Did
Yep.
you get hit with the ice storms and the
No.
cold?
It got chilly, but it didn't get. We get pretty tempered. We're right on the water here, so
Okay.
I don't think 40 miles north of here, they froze pipes and stuff. I was on the news this morning. Jackson, Mississippi is probably 100, I don't know, maybe 150 miles north of here. And there's people in Jackson that still don't have water because of all the frozen water mains.
Yeah.
We did 3 weeks once when the kids, gosh, I think Quinn was like 2. Awesome.
3 weeks without running water.
Because the pipe went under the state highway by our house, so there was like back and forth about who was responsible, and meanwhile we had no water in our home and 2 young children.
Mm.
There was a lot of hotels during that time.
It makes you appreciate your grandparents and parents that grew up in houses without running water.
It absolutely does.
So Jen, was that when Quinn was reminiscing about being able to stay in a hotel?
Yes, yes, for her it was just great fun. It was an adventure.
Hi, JJ. How are you? You hear us, JJ?
I can. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Good.
Good. Morning, guys.
Morning, Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, are you still someplace warm, or are you back?
Yeah, no, we're packing up. We got to take off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You promised it'd be warm when I got home, so.
Yeah, it's supposed to be warm. Road restrictions are going on Friday, I guess. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's getting real.
Yeah, everybody's panicking now. So.
Oh boy, I bet.
Hopefully they go on early, come off early. That's what we're hoping for, but we'll see.
Everybody's moving equipment like crazy this week, I bet.
Oh yeah.
Last week it was too cold to get anything started to load it up to move it.
Yep.
It's Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah.
How's it been down there? Warm?
Yeah, the kids were down last week. It was really nice all week long. And as soon as they left, it's been warm, but it's been so darn foggy. It's kind of nice today, but the fog rolls in overnight, and you can't see hardly the length of the camper, and when you wake up in the morning.
Well, like I said, the whole time you've been down there, I don't feel bad for you. So.
Okay, Josh.
No sympathy.
No sympathy here.
I told my grandson he better start tapping trees.
Yeah, I'm still not quite there yet. I haven't looked too long term, but usually we have this early warm everybody gets excited and shoves all the stuff out there, fights the snow, and then it'll cool off for 2-3 weeks, and then the real run should start.
Yeah,
But
yeah, you're right.
we have missed a few doing that as well, but I don't know. We're going to try to tap this year, so.
Are you? Good
yeah.
for you.
But we'll see. We'll see. I ain't going to do it this early because I just don't want to go fight it, but we'll see what happens.
You still got your RO machine, don't you?
Yep. We got that. All the good stuff. It's should be ready to rock. We got to do a little cleaning and get everything set up, but should be ready to go. So.
JJ, what do you know about three-phase converters?
Oh, I think you'd be better off if you can just get the three-phase in. I know we've experimented with them in the family businesses and friends, and they kind of are a maintenance issue. You're trying to make something out of something that isn't. But if you have to just weigh it out. The cost of getting actual three-phase put in, availability versus not, and maybe they got a little better in the years. I mean, I'm talking probably 10 years ago or better now, that when we had them, tried to utilize some equipment on single phase that was three-phase, and but they work, I guess. It's an option. Something you're looking at? Or
well, yeah, because I bought some stuff, some woodworking, but of course I knew it had three-phase. But it
unless
was
it's belt driven or something, you might be able to change the motors.
Yeah, one of them isn't. It's it's an old planer that it drives right off the shaft of the motor. It's kind of a goofy thing. I mean, a guy could reconvert it, I suppose, but
well, if it's a piece of equipment you're not going to use, a bunch every day.
Yeah, no, it's
every once in a while, I'm sure it'll be just fine if you can get a good deal on a converter.
Yeah, I'll start looking on marketplace.com. My favorite. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. So we'll go through I gotta read this. The March 2nd meeting. The meeting will be held in person via WebEx, video, phone conference, and streamed live on the internet. Not more than 2 county commissioners will be present in the meeting room. The public may join the meeting via WebEx in person in the meeting room or watch the live stream. If joining in person, the total number of persons, including commissioners, cannot exceed 10, and social distancing of at least 6 feet will be in effect. The governor of the state of Minnesota has issued Executive Order 20-01 declaring a peacetime emergency and coordinating Minnesota's strategy to protect Minnesotans from COVID-19. On March 24th, 2020, the Pine County Board of Commissioners declared a local emergency for Pine County. Based on these conditions, the chair of the Pine County Board of Commissioners has determined that the requirements of Minnesota statute 13D.021 subdivision 1 have been met, and it is not practical or prudent for all members of the county board to meet in person. And then you can watch on live stream. Anyway, we will call the meeting to order. First order of business is rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's tough. Who should I follow today?
Pinky, read it, just say it for all of us.
It always reminds me of singing around in 3rd grade. Public forum. Is there anybody on the call or at the meeting room that wishes to speak in public forum?
Mr. Chair, there's no one in the meeting room.
Okay.
This is Eileen.
Yes.
I'd I'd like to get a copy of the insurance committee meeting minutes, or if if you could maybe email them to me while we're here, so I can get an idea of what we're talking about since I'm not at the meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, we'll move to the agenda. I know we've got a couple of additions. David?
Mr. Chair, if we
Yes.
could have on additional information, agenda item number 1 is the minutes from the insurance committee meeting of February 24th. And then additions, consent agenda item 2.1, accept a donation of $5,196 from the Rock Creek Lions, purchase AEDs for the sheriff's office. And if we could add regular agenda item 1.1, an introduction of the 4-H coordinator, Hannah Halderson, and Suzanne Heinrichs is on the line as well to make that introduction. And if we could add regular agenda item number 2.1, this is an amendment to the employment agreement with the county administrator to allow outside employment on a case-by-case basis. And then if we could add regular agenda item number 3.1, and that is a letter in support of the city of Sandstone for the creation of Panther Park, which is a skate park that's proposed.
Anything else? If not, we'll look for approval of the agenda as amended.
Ludwig will move as amended.
Levgren will second.
Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Or wait a minute, wait a minute.
This is my turn.
This is your turn to shine, Jen. You get to call the roll.
Okay, District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Levgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldheim.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes. All right. I didn't mean to take away your job, Jen.
That's just fine.
Okay, we'll look for approval of the minutes of the February 16th county board meeting and summary for publications, and the approval of the minutes of February 23rd special meeting of the committee of the whole on broadband.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes. Levgren?
Moore will second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore to approve the minutes as stated. Any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
District 3, Commissioner Levgren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldheim.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes.
And District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to the minutes of the boards, reports, and correspondence. Pine County Chemical Health Coalition, February 8th, and the Mission Creek Township Zoning Commission, February 10th.
Moore will move that.
Thank you.
Levgren will second.
Got a motion by Moore, second by Lovegren to approve those minutes as stated. Is there any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
And District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
Okay. We're looking for approval of the consent items.
I'm going to make that motion.
Okay,
Moral second.
okay. I'm having a little freeze up here on my agenda, but anyway, is there, we got a motion and a second for the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
And District 4, Commissioner Waldham.
Okay, we'll move on to the regular part of the agenda, the Health Insurance Committee report.
You run with that or?
I can. So we had our meeting and it's trying to figure out what to do now that we're going with United Healthcare versus the Blue Cross Blue Shield. And I think the biggest thing that came out of that meeting was that we decided where our goals were as to how much money we were going to have. And I was thinking I had a little bit of time, so I'm sorry. So we did set the goals of having, they're going to be on this thing, aren't they?
Our reserve.
For our medical reserve, we're going to have a balance of $1,031,015. That's our minimum long-term. We're looking at in 2022 to go to $1,372,975, and then in 2023 to have $2,167,959 in our reserves, just in case we have emergencies or whatever, so that we can be a win-win for the county and the employees both. The other thing that we made a motion on was that if somebody is denied a benefit, if they go to if they have something that needs to be done and they're denied, that they can go and they can request to have it relooked at. And we voted to have that done by United Healthcare and not by Pine County.
Terry and Matt, is that's very similar to what would happen now, correct?
Yes.
If somebody had a procedure and it was denied, we
Yeah,
would.
it would have been done by Blue Cross Blue Shield, correct? We
Right.
never did. Yeah,
The insurance company would handle it, not.
right.
Right.
And that's correct. And because we are self-insured, we do have an option to have more involvement in that appeal process. And Justin reviewed kind of the pros and cons of doing that. And it seemed like the best course of action was to leave that with the insurance company like it has been in the past, that they would review. There is an appeals process, and so an employee would have an opportunity for a fair review. But then the decision would still be made by the insurance company like it has been.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Ludwig, I don't, is it okay, Terry?
Go for it, yeah.
So I think we have to remember that when we jumped in to the self-insuring, we went with a fully funded plan, which means at the end of this year, if we opt out, we will hopefully have enough reserves. So if we stop December 31st to cover the bills that would come over the next quarter. So.
Right.
So, you know, and I think we all remember, I'm just going back to what we did. So if things go good, our reserve should look good. And
Right.
and if we can get through 2 years, then we're going to be sitting much better you know, and then we're gonna have to manage that reserve fund to where we can control increases, hopefully, or, you know, the rate, which is what we're striving to do.
Right.
Okay.
You know, and I'll add to that too. With this is what's going to happen with the, I am brain dead.
Get there.
The contributions that the employees in the county are going to make is going to be based on wanting to succeed to have that reserve made. So if, you know, if we have money in the bank, it doesn't mean that we're going to be lowering what the cost is going to be for everybody, because we want to have that minimum in there to cover anything that comes up.
Yeah, it's gonna take a couple years.
Yeah.
Our long-term goal was cost containment, you know, so we could
Yes. And of course, if we stayed with the way we were, it would be based on usage and we'd be paying what it costs us anyway. So really, it's really based on our usage as a group. And we're gonna,
Right.
I think it will stay that way.
And
right.
Steve, when you say cost containment, that's like rate stability.
Rate stability
Right.
is what I
So that
think
from-
I should, yes.
Yep.
Because I think we all kind of came to this conclusion that we're going to pay if rates go up, or if our usage go up, we're going to pay more. It's
Right.
just that you either pay this year or you pay the following year, because if Blue Cross lost money on us this year, then they got to make up that difference the next year.
Right.
And they got to add their markup to it. So once we get there a couple of years, I think then we've got a little more control of our destiny.
That's a good summary.
And
Thank you, folks, for
Do
staying
we
on
want to
top
just
of that.
mention the wellness committee rollout, the two-step? With the wellness program is available now as of March 1st. And then on June 1st, there will be an enhancement with the inclusion of rewards.
Right. Do we want to talk about that now or do we want to do it later? Because we did like the survey results and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we can. I just wanted to mention it so everyone's aware that if they were waiting for the wellness program, it is available now as of March 1st. And then on June 1st, it will be enhanced with the reward program.
Thank you.
So are we looking at, do we need action on this, Dave?
I don't think
To
so.
set our reserve?
I don't think we need to take a formal position of the county board at this point. I think the direction is clear. The committee and the board seem in alignment. And at this point, when it comes to rate setting is when the board will take formal action to set the rates for 2022, which will then as a consequence impact the reserve amount for 2022.
Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure if Justin needed guidance on that number or the committee was enough.
I think we're okay. I think we've talked about, we didn't have that specific number probably, but we had a pretty good, I think he's got a pretty good grasp on where we're shooting for. Any more on the insurance committee?
Nope.
If not, we'll move on to Suzanne Heinrichs. You're going to introduce Hannah.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you
Suzanne.
all.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, yes, I'm here to help introduce Hannah Halderson, who is the new extension educator with 4-H Youth Development in Pine County. And we are lucky to have her. She brings a great mix of experience and enthusiasm to the position. So it's great. Hannah, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit and tell us about your plans and some things going on with 4-H?
Yeah, so first off, thank you for having me, everyone. My name's Hannah Halderson. I started with Pine County back in October as the interim, so I was just backfilling until they hired someone, and then I was lucky to get hired in January. So I'm really excited to be here. I graduated last spring from North Dakota State University with a management communication and extension education degree. So I went to school specifically for this position, and I'm thrilled to be working with Pine County. I actually am a lifetime 4-H'er, I always say, because I grew up really involved in the program, and then I became a volunteer and an intern and an office assistant. I've sort of done every position so far that I can, and I love the program. So I'm really excited to work with the 4-H'ers here. I've gotten to meet a lot of 4-H families and volunteers, and everyone's just been wonderful. We've been dabbling in a lot of virtual opportunities throughout the fall and this winter, but now we're starting to pick up with a couple in-person opportunities too. So last weekend we actually met with a group of Clover Buds, and we were in person. So our Clover Buds are our kindergarten through second graders, and wow, that was a lot of fun. They learned all about science of snow, and they learned about mammals and cultural creation. So they got to make some cultural crafts. So it was a really fun day. We actually did it as a region-wide event, and then we did it as a hybrid version. So there were 4-H'ers from a lot of different counties meeting in person, and we were all virtual together. And then we had a couple virtual 4-H'ers too. And I was really proud because Pine County, throughout the entire region, Pine County had by far the most 4-H'ers that participated. We had 6 in person and we had 2 online. And I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but I was just overjoyed. So it was really exciting. So I'm hoping to do a couple more of these Clover Bud days, and I want to do some middle school days too for our 4-H'ers. So we're sort of reaching everyone, and yeah, we're really excited to start programming. And once it gets a little warmer out, we can do a lot more outside, so they're not cooped in. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to meet you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, and
Welcome.
welcome, Hannah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
welcome.
The Pine County Board believes very strongly in the 4-H program.
Oh, perfect.
And because it's my belief that not many 4-H kids end up in the county attorney's world, in our probation director's world. And so I would rather do programming for the kids on the front end. And if we had every kid involved with 4-H in Pine County, we could probably eliminate some of our juvenile probation problems. So you got your work cut out for you, but we have some great kids here. We got a long history of having a great 4-H program. So, and then I think I can still say you can still order fruit. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes. Yep, our fruit sale's still going on. So you have until Thursday to place your order. So you can buy it online from myfruitsale.com, or you can contact a 4-H'er and they can do the order form for you. So we're really excited. We've done really good this year for selling the fruit, and all the proceeds are going to go straight back to our 4-H'ers, and we're going to do some in-person programming and hopefully get some really good clinicians and just provide really cool opportunities for our 4-H'ers.
Thanks, Hannah. Thanks, Suzanne.
All right,
Thank
great
you.
to be with you. Have a
Yep.
great meeting. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the improvement policy, the encroachment and trespass of an.
Okay. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll take that, Ludwig.
Okay.
It's mostly because I confused it at the last meeting. So what happened at the last meeting, we were talking about the deer stands and that kind of thing, and that's not what the encroachment policy is. Like, they kind of got blended together in our discussion. And we need to approve this encroachment and trespass improvement policy so Greg and Reese can get the work done on the taxes, on the tax forfeited properties. And what that is where if we get a tax forfeit property and then it's discovered that somebody else has a building that's, it's not, the property lines weren't right, and somebody has half of their garage on there. They have to resolve those issues. And structures that are built on county land now that they find that are built on, we have to be able to resolve those issues. Policy that's guiding that, and we just, but we have to approve that policy so they have the tools to do their job. So.
But part of that policy is also on the Memorial Forest land, where we have some buildings that are on there that we need to have removed.
Exactly.
That
Stuff that's already built. There's three of them. I think there's 3 structures now that are on our land. So.
You're muted, Steve.
Like somebody built a deer shack or storage shed on county property.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So, I will just move that, while I'm talking.
All right.
I'll second that.
Okay, we got a motion by Ludwig, second by Lovegren. Is there any discussion, questions, comments? Okay, I hear none. So clerk will call the roll.
Okay, District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldhelm.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
And District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes. Okay, we'll move to 2-1, which is an employment
Mr. Chair, do
amendment.
you want me to explain this?
Yeah, I think I got it straight in my head. I'm just searching for the right word, David, but you can
Oh,
explain.
sure. So I have an employment agreement with Pine County that requires that I be in the exclusive employment of the county and not work for other people, which makes sense. And then out of the blue, I was contacted by Polk County, Wisconsin, where they asked if I would serve as a hearing officer for them, which I anticipate would be like a one-day event. And so I would like to do that. And so in looking at the employment agreement and working with County Attorney Reese Frederickson, we thought it might make sense to just amend the employment agreement so that it did allow outside work if it was approved by the county board. And so if you're agreeable to that, you could consider the amendment that would do exactly that, that would make any outside work possible with the approval of the county board. And then if you approve that, then you would consider this one engagement and authorize that if you are agreeable. Does that make sense?
Yes. Do we need 2 motions?
I think it'd be cleanest if you were willing to do it that way.
Yep, we will.
Commissioner
So I need
Moore
a-
will move the first one.
Okay.
Ludwig will second.
Is there any discussion on that? I think we all understand what we're saying, what David's saying. If not, the clerk will call the roll.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldhelm.
Yes.
District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll circle back and allow, because now under the employment contract, every time something like this would happen, and it probably would be once every blue moon, we would do the same procedure as we're going to do right now, is allow David to specifically do some work as a hearing officer for Polk County. So we need a motion for that.
So I'll make the motion that David can do this one-time thing with Polk County.
And second.
Who seconded that? JJ, okay, thank you. We got a motion by Lovegren, second by Waldham. Any discussion? If not, clerk will call the roll.
District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham. District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes,
And District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you, David. I
Okay.
think that's a good thing because we might be calling Polk County someday for something.
Yep.
So, we'll move on to Housing Redevelopment Authority appointment.
I think that's me, and I still don't currently have somebody. We're
Okay.
working real hard, and Kelly is helping me out. So we got a good candidate. We're just trying to get them to pull the trigger. So
Okay,
all
all
see
right.
what happens. So
We'll keep
I
it on the
apologize it's
agenda.
taking so long.
Well, that's
So.
all right. I know how that goes sometimes. We'll move then to letter of support for Panther Park in the city of Sandstone.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Ludwig. Just a little background of that. The skateboard park now is sitting on the railroad property up by the tracks, and they're just moving that downtown where the old credit union was. Just, I think it's better away from the tracks and stuff too, and easier for the younglings in town to get to. So I will make a motion to approve that letter.
Thank you.
This is Lovegren, and I just did a whole bunch of surveys on what we can do to help kids, and one of them was to have activities for kids to do because we really don't have that many in our area. So I second that.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Yeah. So Matt, they're just gonna move that skate park then, or what's?
Yes,
the plan? Okay.
yes.
Sounds good. And Terry, I'll argue with you that my kids have too much to do. There's not enough of me to go around. So, but I still think this is a good deal. So, but
Your kids are blessed, Josh.
they got to quit hockey, or at least a couple of them do. So.
Yeah, I hear you, Josh. But anyway, any other discussion? If not, the clerk will call the roll.
District 4, Commissioner Waldham. District 5, Commissioner Ludwig.
Aye.
District 1, Chair Hallen.
Yes.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Aye.
And District 3, Commissioner Lovegren.
Did you hear Terry? Commissioner Love?
Did you hear me say aye, Jen?
I did.
No.
This time I did.
I didn't. Okay. Was there two parts to that?
No, Mr. Chair, just
Okay.
approval of the letter.
Okay. We'll move on. Do we have any legislative updates?
Mr. Chair, I think everyone is aware that the February forecast for the state came out and was a complete 180 from the November forecast. And so there is about a $1.57 million surplus now projected for the next biennium, which is good news. And it resets a little bit of the discussion at the legislature, because you'll remember when the governor prepared his budget, there was a budget deficit. And so there were cuts proposed in some human services programs and some probation programs and other programs that we talked about at the last meeting that are certainly our hope now is with the budget surplus in the forecast that those would be reversed. There also, or I guess the forecast is showing increased revenue in all major areas, sales tax, income tax, corporate taxes, and it's also showing nearly $500 million in spending reductions. And so it's both a combination of increased revenue and decreased spending projections. And some of those spending projections are reduced because of federal aid that was not included in the November forecast.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, we'll move on to commissioner updates. AMC Legislative Conference. I know several of us dialed in for that. Anybody want to speak to what they saw or heard? Terry?
I'm looking.
Doesn't it seem like a long time ago that happened?
It does. It does.
I can't remember if it was last week or the week before.
I'm showing that there was $1 trillion not spent yet on CARES Act money. I got to make sure I'm not reading my little bits that I added to it. It was interesting. It was interesting. There was a lot of stuff that was being talked about. Let's see. So
yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things that I've squared off here is that the CARES Act money for those who need to take time off due to COVID has been expanded until September, where before that had ran out. So that's good. That was good to know. Redistricting info will be coming late in September.
I think the one thing that kind of came through for me is counties really did a marvelous job of getting money. No county had really done such a thing before. We got money, and what did we get, David? $3.7 million in around the 4th of July, and we had all the checks out the door, within 4 or 5 months. And so I think that's an amazing thing when our staff and all counties are pretty much the same, as far as nobody has people sitting around waiting for $3.5 million extra to show up, and then get a staff up and running. And there were so many unknowns when that money first hit the ground, and so we did have an audit entrance meeting the other day, and Kelly can correct me if I'm wrong, but the state auditor realizes that there were things that changed during the first issuance of money and the end. And so what they have told us is that if you were going by guidance that was given on July 15th, and then in October, it conflicts with the guidance. If the new guidance hadn't arrived yet, you're okay. But once new guidance came, then you had to follow the latest guidance. So yeah. We believe we did everything correctly. We followed all the guidance. It was pretty clear cut, at least in all of our minds, what we were dealing with. So I think that's about it. Did anybody get to their policy committee meetings?
I did.
Okay.
You go ahead. Go ahead. I
went to the transportation one. And dialed in for that. I unfortunately, a lot of what they talked about had to do with not knowing what the February forecast was going to be. Yeah. But in transportation, they do know that gas tax collection was down for a portion of the year. And so they've got some less money to put into the formula, and that formula trickles down to the county road program and township and city road program. So we're gonna have slightly less money to deal with in our budgets, and we'll just have to adjust some of the projects accordingly. We can't bid out a project that we don't have money for, so that project will get kicked back a year, just so people know if they were looking on their road sheet what year a project was going to get done, that might slip back a year just due to funding. That's all we can do. Go ahead, Terry.
So I did the Department of Health, and a lot of what they were talking about was the homelessness that's going on, and about it would be from the streets to the hotel to a home. And so they're saying that what they've been working well, but the hotels are needing to know more about what's going to happen if there's damages or anything like that, and who's going to be flipping that bill, which would seem important. That was a lot of it. They talked about the capital expense that went with that, and there were no thoughts as to how to do that by the state. So they're saying that, you know, people need to start thinking about how they can help the hotels to be able to step up about that. There was talk about they're trying to increase the maternity leave to 12 months instead of, is it still 3?
I don't know.
I think it's 3 months for maternity. Well, at least that's what it was when I had kids, was 3 months, but they're looking at raising that to 12 months now. They talked about the vaccines and how they're 95% efficient. They're not sure. The one thing that they really talked about was that they're not sure if you're going to have a booster shot in like 1 year or 3 years, or where that really lies. But that was about it.
Okay. And I went to the AMC Tribal Relation Forum, which was last week. Our chairman is a enrolled band member from the Red Lake Reservation, Tim Sumner, really a nice guy. We have a band member who was a county commissioner from Grand Portage, but he has since been elected as tribal chairman of that band, so he has given up his seat on the county board. But he was in attendance of the meeting, and he's just a great guy. I've gotten to be friends with him over the years, and Baba Deshard, and he still advocates really well for what county and tribal nations can do if they work together. And that's mostly the theme of that whole committee, is sitting down and like we do, having conversations with our tribal counterparts. Arrowhead County Association, I think they met last week.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I went. It was a big meeting. Some of the stuff we talked about in the legislative process and the target stuff, but I'm going to hit the highlights. The CPO and CCA Act, the county probation, they set the 2-year budget, and it's going to have a $1 million cut the first year, and I think it's a $6 million cut the second year, or the total is 6. I can't remember, but anyway, it's going to get cut. So that's not a good thing, and it's a major disappointment. So we're pushing back on that pretty hard from that level. And the PILT thing I discussed last meeting was it's a reassessment. It's the 5-year reassessment. We don't know how that's going to land yet. I gotta find all my notes here. The other thing is remember we talked about the catchment area and the catchment dollars from closing Moose Lake back in 2003. Well, that 2003 is when the statute changed and said that they do not have to fund that anymore. And they took that literally, and the memo came out and they said they do not have to fund that. So those dollars are going to be used in the new mental health initiative, and we do not know how that's going to land with the county yet, so that we could see a cut there also.
Matt, can I just comment on that a little bit more?
Sure.
The way it had been historically is when Moose Lake closed, the state dedicated additional dollars to this region because the impact of closing that facility was greater in this region than statewide. There's nothing in the law that requires those dollars to be dedicated to the region. And so now DHS is spreading those dollars statewide versus focused in our region. And so we are the big loser in that decision.
Right. Yeah, that's why they call it the catchment area, where the area that would be impacted by the closure of the hospital. But thank you. That's right. It's gonna go down. Sorry, I got my glasses. The other thing is the backlog of bills that last year, of course, they didn't get the omnibus package passed, and it's the thing that this year is like 1,600 bills sitting in the pipeline. And then with all this stuff changing, it's all gonna change. So, and the other interesting thing is there's a bill in the House and there's a bill in the Senate that is all about how we do our local taxes and having everybody present in a room at this time. That would be county, township, cities, and then school districts, and it would be chaos. It would be absolute chaos. But it's in there, and it's like the way John Ongaro explained it, says the two sponsors are trying to outdo each other with what they're going to demand in this, and it's like a truth in taxation thing, which everybody wants truth in taxation, but it's going to be really difficult if they put everybody in the room at one time. But at the same time, there's a good point in there, because we have discussed this as a board where when we're looking at what we're going to put our levy at, we don't always have an idea what the school district's going to do or what the township's going to do. So there is an impact to the taxpayer because we don't always talk with the other taxing districts or jurisdictions. So I get that part. So I think that's something we should just be aware of as a board going forward. I don't think that bill is going to get any traction, but I do think there's a good idea in that premise of that bill, or both bills.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just add, you never know what's going to come out at the end of session, but Representative Marquardt is a sponsor of this bill, and he has got a lot of horsepower, and he has historically been a friend of local government. And so there's a lot of conversation, but I think many folks would be surprised if there wasn't some change that came out in the end, right? Just because there's enough important people down in St. Paul who want to make changes to the TNT process.
And the rest was just all the moving targets. So I can't even speak to them because who knows where they're going to land, what's going to happen. And we all know what's out there. So, the ICWA and all that.
Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Where are we at here? Law library.
Yeah, we had a meeting. Looked like the big thing was we had to renew our state law library contract, which we are currently a tier 1. They do offer a tier 2, but there's a lot of other criteria that go with that. It would cost, just with the state, it's over $2,000 or around $2,000, where our tier 1 is $300. Provide just basic stuff. Then we talked about they want to add something to the law library, another book, which is about real estate transactions, which I think everybody knows that's a lot of stuff going on right now. So they asked for adding that in there, which we did. And then we're having some issues with the bookshelves. She said the clips that hold the bookshelves, the shelves on, must be just getting old and brittle and they're breaking. And she was in there the other day, and the first one dropped onto the second one, which dropped all the way down and created a huge mess. So they're working with maintenance, building maintenance, to try to get them replaced. I don't think it'll cost much. It's just they'll have to take all the books down and add these new clips and put them back up. So that's about it there.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a question?
Yep.
So Josh, back when we had received some CARES Act money, the courts had wanted to put in a self-service kiosk. And I think that was approved. Do you know the status of that? Is that, and Ryan is giving me a hand signal that I'm not understanding. They're moving forward with it? Is there a date?
It was installed several months ago.
Oh, what? Where is it?
It's behind the computer desk on the Windows side of the law library.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, we don't have meetings there no more, so I don't see it. So I don't do a lot of stuff in the law library. I ain't gonna lie. So hopefully, knock on wood, I don't have to.
There you go. Extension committee.
You want to go, Josh, or do you want me? You want to go?
I'll start, and then you can fill in. How about that?
Okay.
I had it up here. I was all prepared, and then it snuck up on me. So we did have a meeting. Of course, I was late. Forgot about it, and but I got in there. Becky had given a update on the COVID vaccine and stuff. So with that a little bit, and then we had a presentation from David Abaz, and he's the executive director of the Northeast. I don't know what RSDP is, but he talked about trees that will adapt with climate change. And it was pretty cool. He owns a farm. Do you remember where he said it was? It's on the North Shore up, I think by Silver Bay is where he had said it was. But
I think so, yeah.
He's within 1,000 feet of Lake Superior, and he's got a little farm there that they do all kinds of stuff with the university at. So it was neat what he had there. Master Gardener, they just talked about how last year with the COVID affected them. They're going to try to do a sale this year, depending on what the restrictions are going to be. They're going to have their horticulture day, but it probably won't be in person. Or if they do have it in person, he'd like to incorporate a sale with it. Then we did review the 2021 budget. We talked about the Farm Family of the Year, which I'm very excited about. With the ag educator this year, he wants to do it a little different. And in the years past, we just have always, we had a list, I guess at the county fair, people can submit applications for the Farm Family of the Year. And as long as I've been there, maybe one or two new ones have approached, but not too much different stuff. So it's kind of the same stuff every year, and you kind of talk a little bit about it. We pick one and then go to the family and say, hey, we picked you as Farm Family of the Year. Well, in years past, we've had it where the person's like, well, we can't do that, or we don't want to do it, or whatever. So it's a little embarrassing. Then we got to go back and pick another one. So this year, what Rod wants to do is he actually has a committee. And Terry, are you on that committee? I can't remember if you were or not. Okay.
No.
But he had a committee of three people, and they're gonna vet like 3 families and then interview them and try to get the best candidate forward, which I think is great because it should be something that should have a little more attention done. So that I'm pretty excited about. So we're gonna get through that and see where that brings us. And then we elected chair and vice chair, which I believe are the same. And that was about it. If you want to add anything, maybe you got a little more to add on the COVID, because I dove in there. Well, we had to recognize our new members, which is Terry and Barbara Vidine. So, but I did miss that part, so I apologize. Welcome, Terry.
Thank you. You know, and what they talked about with COVID was the same thing, the 95% efficiency for both the Pfizer and the Medora. I don't know what's happening with Johnson. I think that's still coming up, but that wasn't really talked about. The one thing that they were talking about was that housing development that they were making. It was the Green New Deal housing, and they've got some up by Duluth. The Duluth area, they have 2 areas that they're using for test, and they look like these cute little houses that they really look like they're going to be neat places. So that'll be kind of exciting to see where that goes.
That it?
Yeah. The other just real quick thing I wanted to talk about was we did talk a little bit about our broadband meeting we had last Tuesday. And I think we had everybody there was very interested, and I think we had 3 or 4 people from the extension committee or that were at that meeting join our meeting. So that was good. And as I was explaining it, I was sitting out in my truck in the parking lot, and my Wi-Fi or whatever died, and they didn't hear half of what I had to say, so it was appropriate.
Yeah. Rush Line Task Force.
Yeah, that'd be me. Okay. They talked a lot about funding grants, but what I'm gathering is all the actions way south of Pine County, which is like the Hugo area. It also takes in the Min Pass lanes, the County Road J, 96. Talked about they're going through some environmental assessment phase now for one of their projects down south. The May delivery date. Again, all the talk was down south of our area. There's some public engagement information on the website, www.rushline.org. I guess I learned that Ramsey County is the fiscal agent of this task force. There's also 2 House file and a Senate file. House file 1027, Senate file 957. Task force want to take action against those 2 bills. Myself and another new member, the mayor of Harris. I didn't know anything about those files. I seemed unprepared to vote on it, so I didn't. There's a new line that they talked about from St. Paul to Rush City again, which is Rush City ends south of us, and the task force covers the entire everything, I guess, is what I learned. That's what I got out of it.
JJ, thanks for going, and I sometimes wonder why our involvement is still there, but then I get reminded every once in a while from people in my area anyway, who commute every day to the cities, and they get on one of those metro buses, and as they move those park and ride things north, it's made a huge difference in their life, because now they can get on at Lexington or wherever that they get on, and read a book or read the paper or do whatever. They don't have to fight the traffic. They don't have to pay for parking when they get downtown, and so
Right.
we think it's not doing much for us, but it is doing something for our constituents. So I wish they could move one of those things, further north and have a bus stop at Rock Creek or Pine City, but maybe they'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I can see that too, Steve.
Thank you for going.
Yeah.
Snake River Watershed, I see they're both canceled. You got a meeting coming up though, Josh?
Yeah, we do this month, I think, with the One Watershed, One Plan. We got a meeting this month, so yeah.
Lakes and Pines, we had our meeting. For some reason, they got behind with funding for fuel assistance. And then, of course, we got this brutally cold weather a few weeks ago. And it was a nightmare for some people. And once they got behind, they couldn't get caught up. It's just been kind of a nightmare for everybody involved, and I think they worked through the issues the best they could, but it's hard when they don't have any money to float loans if they don't have the money. So if the money doesn't get to them, they can't spend it. So kind of the way it is. East Central Regional Development Commission. Anybody get there? How about the regional library?
We haven't had a meeting since the last
Okay.
time I gave a report, but the
Okay.
scholarship committee met. And so those scholarship letters went out to the schools and to the libraries to see if we can get some low-income families that have students that would like help with technical college or whatever. So.
All right. And Chemical Health Coalition.
We haven't met either since we had Chemical Health Coalition. We're doing the surveys.
Okay.
Did we report on that one already?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Because that's this, yeah, we did. We talked about doing the surveys for everybody and yeah, so we'll be meeting with them next week.
And I believe the same is true for the Mille Lacs Band. We haven't met with them since we reported last time.
Right.
Any other, under other, we should probably talk about our broadband meeting. We had several commissioners there. I believe there were, I didn't count them, but I think David did. And I believe there were around 50 people that dialed in for that meeting, which was awesome. And out of that, we have formed a group that's going to take part in a program that Blandon is putting on. So we're all going to be the experts on broadband and how we can. We're going to find out. I guess I'm not going to say what we're going to all learn, but anyway, what do we have? 19 people, David, that are signed up for that Accelerate program?
That's correct. I think it's 19 people who volunteered.
Yeah.
And then we should know by Friday whether we received the grant or not for the program, or were accepted to the program.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So I just have to say my takeaway from that meeting. I don't understand broadband as good as like Ryan here, but my takeaway was if something does start to happen, is that the locals should be the deciders of the level of service, not the companies. You know, so you don't settle for something low because it's going to change in 2 years. You know what I mean? So that was a huge takeaway to me because I didn't understand how it all worked. You know, you don't want the minimum, you don't want the maximum, but you want to get that sweet spot.
And I think that's the hard part, Matt.
Yeah.
Because if you only have one provider and that provider says, this is the level of service we're going to provide, and you say, no, we don't want it. Well, then is it better to take, and is it better to take anything than nothing at all? I don't know
because that's what I say. I'll use my service at home for an example. It's the old copper wire through Century. And if it's a Saturday and you're trying to do something, I could actually go brew a pot of coffee while the thing's trying to do something because you get too many people on the line and it just won't flow.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about. And I don't think the new systems are going to work that bad. But.
Yeah. And I think there's, there's fear amongst everybody that because they know fiber, we understand how that works and how we can do wave division multiplexing and double the use of one single strand of fiber from, and we understand that technology. we don't understand how they are going to add tenfold amount of customers with satellite systems, and so I think those are the things I hope to learn, and because as I sit and ponder these things, I think we're going to come up with a bunch of different solutions that are going to work for Pine County, not just a single solution. But it'll be
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And I think the big thing I hope to get out of this is at some point get either a provider or providers or something to just say, hey, Pine County, this is what we need to do to take the next step. And I think that's where, like you said, I think in this county, which, the northern counties, they did do it. They pushed it to every house, and there's been some west counties that have done it. They plowed cable to everybody's house. But I think now in this day and age with the different technologies out there, we probably don't need to do that, but we need somebody to say, hey, this is what it's going to cost to get to everybody's, or, to get it out there. This is the gap that the providers have to make it feasible for them and go from there. That was the first time I heard actually a number where he just roughly put $10,000 per household to get it out there, so to me, building a new house, if it costs me that much to get it there, that's a tough one to swallow. But on the other side, with 4 kids doing schooling and whatever, I don't know if that's viable or not. So I don't know. That's what I'm hoping to get out of it, and I'm excited. So.
Yep. I think we're all excited to learn more than we know now. Anybody got anything else?
I do. I kind of cut David off when we were talking about the wellness. And so I'll go back to that. We did have a meeting. There was a survey monkey that was set out for all of the employees to take. And we had 106 employees that did the survey and 150 that did not. So out of the 106 people, 33% of the participants have not participated in any wellness programs in the past. 34% would do challenges for nothing. They would just do challenges to be able to do the challenges. 75% wanted $20 or less. And the other thing that came out of it, and then 25% they don't want to be taxed. So we have talked about if they have VIBA or if they have HSA accounts, we can put the money into those accounts if they make money on their challenges. Otherwise, it's going to have to be gift certificates. And if it's gift certificates, if they have like the CM M150, is it 150 or 1500? Or if they're not insured through United Healthcare, they would have to get gift certificates. And so then those will be taxed, and there's different ways to break that down. So the key things that came out of it was they want to do activities, fitness steps, that type of stuff, and then competitions. And those can both be utilized right now with their Simply Engage program. And then we've got the June timeline where we're going to be coming out with more. So that's just the numbers that went behind what the insurance company was talking about and how we're figuring things out.
Thank you, Terry.
Yep.
Does anybody got anything else? If not, check your upcoming meetings and
Just a comment on the upcoming meeting, Steve. The
Yes.
Personnel Committee meeting next Monday is moved to 10:30 a.m. rather than 9 a.m. So 10:30 on the 8th is the Personnel Committee.
Okay. And thanks everybody for keeping up with all your extra meetings. I look on that calendar, commissioner's calendar, and there isn't a day I don't believe that somebody isn't dialing in for something. So I appreciate it. Keeping the county involved is vitally important to us. So thank you much. With that, I'll declare the meeting adjourned. Jen.
Nice seeing everybody.
Yep, we'll see you, JJ. Take care.
You guys take care.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, have a safe trip, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, Josh. We,
Talk to
we, you know, Chris and Rachel, they make it home in a day and a half, you know. Becky and I think. Well, we see a shiny object, we like to stop and look.
Yep.
I gotta
good.
stop. Thursday, I got a council on aging, so I gotta get someplace where I got good Wi-Fi for a couple hours.
What is
You
your
know, but-
plan for like 3-4 days to get back? Or are you going to take a week?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Last year we went over to Northeast Texas and touched around a little
Mm-hmm.
bit.
You don't need to shut them off because when you plug them in, they just charge
Oh, okay,
in the room there.
okay.
I just set them out so early that I'd hate for them to go dead in the
But I
morning.
think we're gonna putz up along the Arkansas River, and as long as it's gonna be nice.
Wait, these
I
have
mean-
to do what? Is this?
Keep,
Yeah, you don't have to do
keep,
anything.
Okay.
Because when you put it in the
heading
charger
north.
in the
That's what you're
storeroom,
talking
yep, it just sets to charge.
Sounds good.
we've been
We'll-
been here when you got a snowstorm coming in and you got like a day and a half to get home, and
Yep.
we don't like doing that, but
Yeah.
you know, you hate to sit in a truck stop for 3 days with a blizzard going on. So
Yeah, I hear you there. So,
we've
all right.
all right.
Well, we'll see you when you get back.
Okay.
Yep.
My
Bye-bye.
Napa bill at least will be low this month.
I just sent it out, so
Okay.
it should be there for you when you get home.
Oh
So.
boy. All right. We'll see you.
All right. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.